morning. I'm Shannon with American Mining Rights Association, and it's at the end of June in 2015, and we're not shooting a video for you today of gold mining. What we're going to talk about is what's going on in this state, and actually in the country, because it's time that you guys know the truth. You know, 6 years ago, California unlawfully passed a moratorium on suction dredging, claiming that we kill fish. We all know that that's untrue. There's been dozens of studies that conclusively prove that we don't hurt fish. In fact, it helps fish habitat. It removes 98% of the mercury. It removes 100% of the lead, and we clean the streams. But that doesn't stop the opposition to mining, and I mean Sierra Fund, from attacking us and the far left. And Judge Ochoa took up this case that the small miners has presented for the last 6 years down in San Bernardino. And he ruled and signed an order back in January that he stated in his words that it was a scheme to create a ban on suction dredging, and that it was unlawful, illegal, and it's also unenforceable. And in that time, since then, here we are at the end of June, there's been over a dozen people that have been cited, had their equipment confiscated, and they can't dredge. That's a takings, folks. It's when the people are absolutely losing money. Now, what we just did is this last week, new 49ers, WMA, and PLP, as well as several other miners, went down to San Bernardino to try to get injunctive relief from Judge Ochoa against the Department of Fish and Game, saying that we've got irreparable harm, which we absolutely do. And Judge Ochoa, for some reason, decided that that wasn't the case. They didn't make that argument. So, which is absolutely false. You know, I'm just going to tell you my opinion here is something happened with Judge Ochoa and he lost his nerve and didn't side with the miners like he did when he ruled on this rather expensive lawsuit. So I don't know what kind of things are in play here behind the scenes. I would imagine it's corrupt as anything else that's in our government. But guys, if you're fed up, you're going to have to do something. And I mean do it now. You know, it's pretty sad, guys, when we have to put up game cameras on our own claims and our own private property to protect us. And I got to admit, unless we band together, and we've been talking about this for 2.5 years, unless we band together, and I mean speak out and protest and get organized against this tyranny that we're witnessing, we are going to lose it. This old girl right here is 16 years old. We've had her for quite a while, and she does a real good job. It allows us to get out into some of these areas that we normally can't access. And this is next. Off-roaders, fishermen, hunters, hikers, the hound hunters. You guys are next. They're coming after you because they're coming after us. We have fundamental rights when it comes to mining claims. You guys don't. You have a privilege, which is why they're actively trying to rename everything as recreational, especially with miners. Because if they use the word recreational, that means that you can be regulated. What they do, guys, is they lie. We see that with Sierra Fund. Right now, you can't suction dredge in the state of California, even though it was generating income for the state in what we call revenue. And the state is losing $60+ million a year in revenue that the dredgers and the miners would be spending in the motherlode counties of California. 60 million. So there's businesses that are going out of businesses and are out of business. There's people that can't send their kids to college, people that can't even feed their family because of this illegal moratorium. Yet if you're Sierra Fund, you get $6.5 million given to you in a government grant by a far left liberal, and then you get to go out and dredge under the guise of removing mercury. And that's what Sierra Fund is doing in Lake Combi. Now they're actually taking money and they're buying up properties. They're going to dredge that too. What's it going to take, guys? Obviously, we could go on and on and on here. The goal of this video today is to get you to wake up. What is it going to take? Join us. Join any of these groups, but get in this fight. Write letters, pick up phones, follow us on Facebook. You want to know what's going on? Go to our Facebook page at American Mining Rights. Join us in this fight, because guys, we can't do this alone. We're fighting fights in Montana, in Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho. Idaho is severely under attack. Heck, we even have some of our own miners that are going against us. It's just stunning. So get in this fight and let's stop this. You want to know why the opposition is so successful at what they do? Because they're organized. See, the fundamental difference between conservatives, which for the most part most miners are, is that we're free thinkers and that we use common sense. And when you go onto the political spectrum that is the far left, they operate quite a bit on emotion, but they're really good at organizing. President Obama was a community organizer for years and years and years. So you have the far left, which is what Obama is, really achieving what they do because of their organizational skills. We're not real organized, but we need to change that. What we need to do is to create an entity, and it was what we intend AMRA to do, as large and as loud as the NRA. Because if you think about it, we're all in this thing for the same things, guys, and that's to keep public lands open to those that own it. And that is the public. That's you, the taxpayer. And so many things have been subverted over the years that they're trying to take away all of that stuff. We don't identify ourselves as Republicans or Democrats because, to be honest with you guys, the Republicans are giving away and ceding so much of their power to one branch of government, and that's the president, to where he unilaterally can make decisions. And we see that every day with executive actions. So what's it going to take? We all have to become activists. We have to talk to our neighbors, to our friends, to our buddies who are hikers, to our buddies who are fishermen and campers and off-roaders and everything else, and get them in this fight. We all have to stand up and start speaking out, because if we don't, we will lose this. We are witnessing in the last year and a half of the Obama administration such a strong push, and the argument could be made whether it's communism, fascism, Marxism, or whatever ism that you want to call it, but it really is a totalitarian mindset where you have a central government that is in control of every aspect of your life. Look at what the EPA is doing, guys. They're trying to regulate every single little drop of water in the United States. It's stunning. What's it going to take for you to get involved? What's it going to take? We lose everything? We don't have any more mining rights? We don't get to use our own public lands? You know, a lot of people bitch and moan and complain, just like I did. And I never did anything. I didn't pick up the phone. I didn't call my senator. Sure, I'd post a little bit online and say I was upset, but I didn't do anything. That's why we formed AMRA. This video isn't about AMRA. It's about mining rights, and it's about the public lands, and it's about you. Guys, if you're looking for somebody to come in and just save the world, that's not going to happen. And if you think that the next election is going to change everything, you got a whole nother thing coming. Yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled that Obamacare, and they altered and said that they imagined what the Senate and everybody else intended with the law. What we're witnessing is activist judicial benches where they don't care about the rule of law. The only thing that is going to make a difference here, guys, is if we stand up, we get organized, and we get out and do something. And I mean, you know what? Maybe we need 1,000 people to descend on the Capitol. Or maybe we need to have a dredge-in here in California in opposition to that, where we have hundreds of miners go out and dredge in opposition to this utter tyranny that we're witnessing. I can't even hide my anger over all of this stuff. We've got companies and people that have spent millions of dollars trying to fight for your rights. And they do this without really so much as a little bit of thanks, but they do it day in and day out. We devote all of our time doing this stuff. And we can't do this alone, guys. You've got to get involved in this. Because you know what? At some point, we either roll over and we accept fascism, which is exactly what we're witnessing, where the government actually weaponizes agencies against the American people. Look at the IRS. The IRS just deleted a ton of emails saying, oh, it was an accident. Somebody dropped the freaking hard drive. Really? You expect us to believe that when there's incriminating evidence on there? Look at the EPA. Last year we dredged in opposition to the EPA in Idaho, and there's an Occupy movement that John Crossman and his boys started last year, and they're doing it again in about a week. We're going back over there. You've got to stand up and resist this stuff. Let me put a scenario to you. If you were a senator, okay, and most of these people have no real conception of what the real world is. They don't know what you and I do. They wear their suits and their ties and, you know, they live in their $1 million homes and things like that. And they have no idea what the real world is about. If they get 50 calls in opposition to something, you might think that that might sway a senator or a representative. But that's not necessarily the case. These people make a lot of money from lobbyists and people donating to their campaign funds. If you have 5,000 people call that senator or that representative saying, vote freaking no, or we will get you kicked out of office, then you start to have an impact. We can't do this with 30 phone calls or 60 people showing up in court. It has to be a concerted effort. Guys, did you know that last year there was 18% of the people actually voted in the election? That's sickening. 18%. You want to know how we can change things? Vote. If you took the rural communities just in California alone and they went out and voted, you could turn this state around in one election. But they're so disenfranchised and they feel, you know, that there's just no hope that they just stay home. That's exactly what the opposition wants you to believe. It's exactly what we're witnessing with small mining. They want you to be so disheartened that you just don't vote, that you just don't give up. I mean that you just give up. That's exactly what they're doing. The other thing is they're trying to run us out of money. So they keep coming up with all of these unconstitutional things, and they get senators to pass bills, like Senator Allen in SB 637, where we have to sue our own federal government to prove our rights. That's not the way our representative republic was intended to work. Are you getting upset yet? I hope so. You've probably gathered by now that we were a little bit upset when we filmed that last series. And rightfully so, guys. We're on the front lines here, and we get all of this news, and we get phone calls daily, as well as WMA and PLP and the new 49ers. They know what's going on. They see the people that are being arrested for suction dredging when Sierra Fund gets millions of dollars to go dredge. The hypocrisy is literally mind-blowing. The point that we're trying to make here, guys, is that you can't just sit there and bitch at the house. You've got to get involved. You've got to get your neighbors involved. You've got to get your friends involved. Everybody needs to get involved. They have to be informed. Use these different companies as resources. We're the most active people on social media, and we let you know what's going on all the time. We are just this close right now to killing the issue that's going on in Mariposa County, and with getting the supervisor recalled that is bringing this ridiculous mining ban forward. And if she doesn't recuse herself, then we're going to have her recalled, or we'll go down that road. This is the kind of activism that it takes, and I'll be honest with you, all I ever wanted to do is dredge. I'm a miner. That's all I ever wanted to do. But I've now become an activist because that's what it takes to save what we already have, and that's our constitutional rights. You have to make that decision to get involved in this. So please, people, step up. Don't just sit at home and complain. Make phone calls, write letters, follow our lead. Help us out with this stuff. Work with us. Join AMRA. You get access to mining claims. But do something. Don't just sit at home and complain anymore, because that isn't cutting it. Anyway, I'm Shannon with American Mining Rights. I'm heading to Idaho in about 2 days, and we'll see if the EPA arrests me. We're doing that for you.